That's been done forever. And that was wrong. Taking advantage of women, sexually abusing women, discriminating against women, all wrong. All 100% wrong all the time. No argument there, okay? But we've taken it way too far, okay? Let me ask a question to the ladies. Again, if you're thinking I'm off base, ladies, if you're thinking I'm off base, let me ask you a question, please. Quick. Who would you rather spend time with in their prime, okay? Woody Allen or Sean Connery? Let's not talk about, they're both old guys now, but let's say this was 20, 30, 40 years ago. Would you rather spend time with Woody Allen or Sean Connery? It's a silly question. I would say virtually all women out there would want to spend time with Sean Connery. And when I say time, I'm talking about go out to dinner, spend some time, maybe get cozy at the end of the evening. Which would you rather do? Woody Allen, Sean Connery. Now, there's nothing wrong with Woody Allen. He's an intelligent man, very bright. He's witty. In fact, he's hilarious. A good conversationalist, I'm sure. But Sean Connery, when you ladies are all out there saying you'd much rather spend time with him. Why? What's wrong with Woody Allen? Well, nothing. But compared to Sean Connery, come on. Come on, guys. Let me ask you men a question. Who would you rather spend the evening with, spend time with, go to dinner with, and maybe spend some cozy time afterwards? Rosie O'Donnell or Sofia Vergara? Rosie O'Donnell's lived a full life. She's got a lot of opinions. She's on a talk show. She's been in movies. She's a comic. Why would you want to spend time with her? 100% of the straight men, and most of the gay ones, would choose door number 2. They would choose Sofia Vergara. Guaranteed. Because sex sells. Sex attracts. Humans humans love sex. They're interested in sex. If we weren't, the species would just die. Think about it. If tomorrow we stopped being interested in sex, by the next generation, that would be it. In 40 years, 50 years maybe, there would be no human race. None. We would cease to exist. Men and women find different things attractive to one another. And that's because men and women are different. Men use swagger, dominance, money, power to impress women. We open doors. We pick up the tab. We buy the engagement ring. We book the dinner reservation. We drive to the destination, okay? That's the way things are done because we like to do it and women like for us to do it for them. And don't say you don't because you do. Women use sex to impress men, okay? They do. They wear high heels. They dye and style their hair, okay? They allow us to perform the dominant routine. They let us open the door, drive the car, buy the engagement ring. That's how society works. Women enjoy being on the receiving end of the game. Men enjoy being on the giving end of the game, okay? And not all women all the time, but most women most of the time. Not all men all the time, but most men most of the time. That's just how things are. Now, you may ask, but Strong, I know a whole lot of women who are with men that are just slugs. They're simple slugs. She earns way more than he does. She runs the show. She's the dominant one in the relationship. That's very true. There are relationships out there. And if they work for those two, I'm not going to be critical of them. However, if asked, and if the woman answered correctly, or truthfully, I should say, if asked and the woman answered truthfully, she would rather it be the other way around. I like it this way. No woman would ever say this. I like it this way. I prefer my man to just work part-time, stay at home, play video games, not be able to fix anything, not be able to pay attention when I take the effort to make myself attractive for a night out. I enjoy the fact that he lets me drive and lets me take charge of things. No woman says that. I would say that there are women out there who like to take charge more than others. But there are also, every woman out there likes for the man to be in charge most of the time. And that doesn't mean being a dick and saying, look, we're just going to this restaurant, not that one. Okay? Or if I buy you food, I expect you to do this for me. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what most women like to do and what most men like to do. Okay? If a woman says, I prefer it this way, I prefer my man to just work part-time, stay at home, play video games, not fix stuff, not pay attention when I make myself pretty for the night, let me drive the car, let me run the show. If a woman says she prefers things to be that way all the time, she's probably lying. She's lying to you, and she's lying to herself, okay? High heels, skirts, V-neck blouses, pantyhose, maybe not pantyhose anymore. That's kind of not in vogue. Perfume, lipstick. These are all things women wear. Men don't wear any of this stuff. Women do. Now, there's exceptions to the rule, sure. But for the most part, women do this because they want themselves to be attractive to men. And now men, we're lucky. I mean, if we're going out on a date, okay, I need to shower, shave, and wash my hair, put on deodorant, and put on some clothes that are halfway clean. That's really all we have to do. But at least we do that, okay? Some of us do anyway. Most of us do. Maybe all of us do, okay? Now, that's not to say the only thing a man finds attractive in a woman are the high heels, the skirts, the V-neck blouses, okay? Because, in my opinion, a smart woman who knows her way around life is extremely sexy. But if she takes it to an extreme and doesn't want to play some of the games some of the time, I guarantee that she's going to grow up to be single. She's not going to get a man. She's just not. And it's the same thing with a man, okay? There are men out there who don't play the game the way things have traditionally been done, and most of the time they don't get married. Now, there's exceptions, and I'll give you an example. The trophy wife and I, a couple years ago, we were in Las Vegas, and we saw a couple on the bus, and actually this was from, it was the bus from the shuttle, the shuttle from the rental car place to the airport. And it was an odd couple, and at first I thought it was a mother and son, because the mother was, I don't know, maybe 60 or close to 60. I'd just say she was an average-looking 60-year-old woman, okay? She didn't do a whole lot to pretty herself up, but she was not an unattractive person. And she was with a guy who might have been 30, probably mid to late 20s, okay? And she had her handbag. She had the suitcases were next to her. She was definitely running the show. And the guy had a remote-controlled toy of some type. Like I think it was an airplane sitting in his lap. And he was just talking about how he liked this toy and was just all excited. We sat across from him, so you couldn't help but to hear the conversation in the shuttle bus. Well, folks, this wasn't a mother and son. This was a husband and wife. And basically, this woman married a play baby. Now, the trophy wife and I love to do this on vacation or if we go out. We like to look at a couple and assemble the story as to what's going on with these two. I think usually we're pretty close. Of course, we never have any way of knowing if we're close because we're not going to say, hey, we're talking about you two, and we think that you're this, and that. Are we right or wrong? We're never going to do that. But I think we're probably pretty close to this. This woman was obviously, she was older, a professional person. She just had that look about her. The way she dressed, the way she held herself. She knew what was going on. She knew her way around the world. She was a professional woman. And her husband was a play baby. He wanted to play with his toys. And I guess she wanted to play with her toys too. And he was her toy. So it was kind of a quid pro quo thing. I'll use that term again. You know what? I will give you remote control toys to play with because you're half my age or less. If you give me certain things to play with as well. Okay? Now, again, if that works for them, good for them. But friends, that's the exception to the rule. If you're a 28-year-old man who just wants to play video games and be a play baby and you want yourself a wife, you're probably going to get something like he does, okay? And if that works for you, again, good for you. But that's the exception, not the rule. Now, where am I going with this, okay? Harvey Weinstein is a pig. He'll probably go to jail, and he should. The days of the casting couch are over, at least for the time being, and they should be. Today's comic book movies appeal to a different generation, don't they? If we're talking about sex in Hollywood. They definitely appeal to a different generation. I mean, my generation doesn't watch the comic book movies. I think they're dopey and silly. They're all the same. I watched a couple and they're fine. But if you've seen one, you've seen them all. But the younger people like them. And they don't have anything to do with sex, do they? Nothing at all. Nothing at all has to do with sex in the comic book movies. Well, if that were true, perhaps they're going to cast Jonah Hill as the next Aquaman. You think that'll ever happen? Of course not. Maybe Amy Schumer will be cast as the next Wonder Woman. No, that'll never happen. If they do that, no one will go see those movies. Jonah Hill is an outstanding actor. Amy Schumer is a very successful comedian and actress. Why wouldn't they cast those two in those two roles? Because nobody, even the millennials, want to see Jonah Hill coming out of the water in his shorts or Amy Schumer in Wonder Woman tights. Nobody wants to see that. Because even for the millennials, even for the comic book movies, sex sells. There is a sex symbol genre, sex symbol society, sex symbol, I'm not finding the right word, culture. There we go. And even the millennial films, and even the comic book films, even the superhero films. Some things never change. Never, ever, ever. Sure, they slide, they amend, they evolve, but they never really change, okay? And they never will. Like I said, when they do change, if they truly do change for everybody, within one generation, there will be no more human race. Because once the man stops getting a woody for the woman, they ain't going to have any more kids. It's done. D-U-N, done. Some things never change. So you may ask yourself, okay, Strong, here's how much of a pig you are. You're an old fuck, okay? You're not a young man. And you're talking about all these young women that young men like. You're an old man. What do you think? Falling in love when you're young, raising a family, or just living life as a couple for many years, even if you don't have kids, it reinforces the emotion, the love, okay? When a relationship cures, kind of like a piece of fine ceramic, we age, and you look past, you remember when, like that piece of fine ceramic, you remember when it was in its green state. It's different now, but you remember it way back when. And you can admire it in some ways more so now than then because the history that's been put behind it, okay? You know how things used to be. And you know how things are. It's the same person on the inside, okay? But when we age, you know, we all age. We all get fatter. We all get wrinkles. We all get gray. We change on the outside a whole lot, okay? But loving your mate means you can look past some of the imperfections. Because through life, although some of the pretty has to rub off of both of you, underneath, it's still there. And we see past the weathered facade. Now, men still turn heads to the girl with the short shorts, okay? That's going to happen. Women still admire the football player with the tight britches, okay? That's still going to happen. But that's everyday life. That's not the motion picture industry, and they're different. You cannot confuse the two. The motion picture industry, sex symbols in pictures are different than real life because they're not real life. Movies are entertainment. Movies are escapism. It's a respite from reality. Makeup artists get paid a whole lot of money, okay? Because quite often they make bad people look good, good people look great, and great people look phenomenal.